All right. So I shared two stories with you. One we're calling Women Who Fell from the Sky by the Iroquois, and then Grandmother's Spider Brings the Sun by the Cherokee. And I asked you to kind of think about like what similarities you saw in the stories, kind of common themes. So if you have sat there for a moment, kind of thought over the stories, one common theme right away, right, is the role that women play. In the first story, women really basically create nearly everything, right? The world comes from women. Now, to be fair, that's another thing that we can see in these stories is the role of animals, because the world comes from women, but it's on Turtle's back, right? So she creates it with the help of animals. So we have Turtle's back, muskrat got us a little bit of the ocean floor. But ultimately the world, right, is coming from the role and the assistance of women. The next generation comes from women. They give birth to the next generation. Food comes from women. And note, incidentally, it's called the Three Sisters, also suggest the role of women. And then in Grandmother Spider Brings the Sun, light, like again, we can't exist without the sun. So life comes from women. And then significantly too, in Grandmother Spider Brings the Sun, we can see the role of older women, right? There's a respect for elder women, which again, I noted in the text of the lecture, that's going to be in direct contradiction to what we're going to see in English colonial society. Just, a little hint, you probably know a little bit about what happens in Salem in 1692 if you're an older woman. So again, some kind of contradictions. They're not contradictions, that's not really the word I'm looking for, but the ways in which these two societies are kind of headed towards a crash, like collision, because they're so different in how they're interpreting the world. Okay, and then another theme that we can sort of connect to these stories too is the role that animals play in these stories, right? In the second story that I told you, there aren't even humans, they're all animals, but they're thinking and behaving like humans. Again, the person or the animal that brought us like everything, light, was identified as a woman, grandmother. The other animals that attempted to bring light are identified using male pronouns. So again, this connection to the role that women play in really creating the world and creating the next generation, creating our food, and all that we need. So I think, again, when you think through those kind of themes, you can see why women are centered in these stories. If this is how they're telling, or why women are centered in these societies, because if this is how they're telling like their origins and they're centering women in their origins, it's indicative that women are going to be key to those societies. Now, again, I noted in the last video, I noted it in the lecture, this isn't true of all Indigenous peoples, but we are in a women's history class, so why not center communities and stories that center women? All right, if you've got any questions, again, you can put those in the discussion board. Take care.